This is gokusondbz, and I am now recording part 2 of my review for the Chronicles of Narnia, which is my personal favorite of all time fantasy adventure books, done by, of course, the great c.s.lewis. Now, in part 1, I talked about mainly Magician's Nephew and some of the basics with Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is the second book in this series. Now, just to tie up a few loose ends, of course, at the end of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, they had reigned for years and years as the kings and queens of Narnia. Of course, you have Peter, or also known after he defeated Malbrick, of course became known as Sir Peter Wolfsbane. As well as Lucy, you have Edmund, and of course you have Susie, or Susan, whichever. And here's one thing I want to state with, now a lot of people immediately with the movie skip from that to the fourth book, technically, called Prince Caspian. Now, one thing I want to make clear is, to those who have not read or know much about the novels, there was actually another book in between Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and, of course, the great Prince Caspian. And that was called The Horse and His Boy, which was about, of course, this boy and his horse, obviously, went through journeys and ended up falling in love with, of course, Queen Susan. And I guess you could say, the combined elements from The Horse and His Boy book in with the fourth book of the series, Prince Caspian, and, of course, the Prince Caspian Walt Disney done movie, which was the second movie, of course. First was by BBC from the 80s. But, yes, the added elements from Horse and His Boy with also Prince Caspian. Like, showing in that movie, you had Susan, ended up getting feelings and attraction to Prince Caspian, which did not happen in the book, and also did not happen in the original BBC done movie on Prince Caspian, which was much more loyal to the source material, I might add. Horse and His Boy is actually probably one of the longest books in the series, if you bother to look how long it is. I mean, it's only like 300 some pages. That's the thing. Chronicles of Narnia books really aren't that long if you look at the overall length of the books. I would say probably the sixth book is the longest. That being, of course, the Silver Chair. But, anyways, just thought I'd mention some about The Horse and His Boy, which most people overlook of the books. Of course, now to the fourth book of the series, Prince Caspian, which is also a really good book. And I highly recommend it of the series. It's another one of the solid, probably one of, I would say, out of the 7, it's probably my third or fourth favorite in rank. My third favorite, though, is probably the sixth book. But, anyways, Prince Caspian, of course, you learn about this individual, Prince Caspian, which was meant to become the next king of Narnia. And you have his uncle, Miraz, who basically plans on, once his wife ends up having their child, he plans on killing Prince Caspian, which isn't a surprise because he killed Prince Caspian's father. And as you learn, he has to escape for his life thanks to his teacher and mentor, which looks kind of different than most other humans for a good reason. He's half human and half dwarf. Now, I want to say some about the Prince Caspian movie. One of the ones who plays Trumpkin the Dwarf, one of the main characters in that movie, is played by the great Peter Dinklage. And in case you have no clue or live under a rock and have no idea who Peter Dinklage is, he played Trask in last year's X-Men Days of Future Past. And he also plays, of course, our favorite Lannister in Game of Thrones. Top-notch actor. But good movies, and of course, as I said, great book. And you learn a lot more about the mythology and the history of Narnia, which this takes place hundreds and hundreds of years after Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe does, timeline-wise. Timeline between our world and the world of Narnia, completely different. Like, 1 year may pass in our world, and in Narnia, 100 centuries can pass within one of our years. That's how the time frame works between our world and that world. So you could spend, though, like a matter of like 20, 30 years there, and only maybe a minute has passed here. It's kind of insane, really, when you think about it. But on to the next book of the series, that being the 5th book, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which you, of course, have the return of Lucy and Edmund and their annoying cousin, Eustace. And you have great characters besides Prince Caspian returning. You have other characters from Prince Caspian book, like Reepicheep, the talking mouse, which is an interesting character. He's definitely big on honor. That's one thing. Honor matters more to Reepicheep than anything else. But you have them exploring the Lone Islands looking for the missing lords who escaped when King Miraz, Caspian's uncle, took power. And they scattered away for their own survival, because they were supporters of Caspian the Ninth. And of course, the Caspian that you have in the books is Caspian the 10th. And in other stuff in that, it's a really good journey. Now, I will say I prefer the cheesy effect BBC special based on the book much more than the Hollywood 20th Century Fox done version of Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Just destroyed the storyline and everything. But Hollywood tends to do that with things, whether it's based on books or video games or whatnot, when it comes to source material. But it's a really solid book overall, and the original BBC is pretty loyal to the original source material. But in the end, they learn when they have to depart back to their own world. Lucy and Edmund are told by Aslan that they can never return again to Narnia. But he did not say anything about Edmund, which I'm trying to speed up some things, so I'm not going to be as detailed like I was in the first review. And that brings us to the 6th book. Definitely one of my favorites of the books. And that being the Silver Chair, which we have, of course, Eustace returning to Narnia with Jill Poe, a friend of his from the school. Now, Eustace had changed a lot thanks to his voyage in Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Changed him from being completely mean and just plain brat to being somebody who actually cared about others. He learned from when he turned to a dragon in things. Lessons thanks to hard life and thanks to Aslan. But I'm going to have to cut, sadly, this up. I'll continue on and tell more about the Silver Chair in the 3rd and last part of the review on the Chronicles of Narnia. Peace out.